Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Bashmiel Shine Bashem Warakak Wadash, and double honors to the elder apostles of the great millstone and the elder bishops on down that have taught me this truth, and Yahweh Bashmiel Shine Brakatham to the overall elect whom this gospel is for, and this your brother Laban. And I just want to just briefly speak on this article over here. I'm not going to read it. This is a very stupid move that Trump is going to make if he gets into office by tariffing the BRIC nations, like as if that's not going to have an effect on the American economy and as well as the dollar itself. Because then it would be costly to bring goods in, because, America is just a consumer-based country. They don't make things by themselves. All right. They get things from other places, and most of the things that they get is from the BRIC nations. Primarily, one of the main of the BRICS, which is China. They get most of their goods from over there. They get some of their goods from India. And so there you have it. So if they bring tariffs on these nations, they're gonna upset themselves. All right. So now what I want to do is I want to read the scripture over here. This is Obadiah 1, and we will read verse 8. Shall not in that day, save the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and the understanding out of the mount of Esau. Yeah, this is an unwise move to make. So as closer we're drawing to the end of this place, these devils are just making stupid moves. They're losing their wisdom bit by bit. Now, if you look at the previous presidents and the previous prime ministers, even down there in the UK, they were much more wiser than these current ones to date, which goes to show you that the powers that be, the Rothschilds especially, they don't really have good choices among these men to be the leaders of the people, the so-called leaders of the people, so to speak. So this ain't good, man. This ain't good. You mean to tell me the Rothschilds don't have better men to pick that can do the job more effectively, that can be better liars, and can be more diplomatic? You mean to tell me this is the best that they got? So again, this is a sign, man, that they're at the end. All right. And let me just even say this even one better. This is declaring that this empire is broken. All right. And it's not going to be healed. So now what I want to do is I want to read this as well. Let's get the book of Daniel's, in this case, Daniel 7 and 20. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the others which came up before, whom 3 fell, which the 3 that fell is Spain, France, and England. And to know all of that, what you want to do is study those revolutionary wars, and you'll get the breakdown of that. And even that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellow. Yeah, they spoke proudly because they become the greatest. Even after the Second World War, America became, or should I say the American dollar became the superior currency. By then, before that, it was Great Britain. So America just became great later on, and now they're flaunting themselves. They've been doing that for a while now. They've been making certain moves. They've been doing things that's provoking that hatred among these other nations now. So I looked up the word stout. So the Hebrew word is Rab, which means great, figurative of power, a captain, chief, great lord, master, stout. Yeah, and that's why they've become the most proudest. Let's read this as well. Let's go up a couple of verses. Yeah, let me read this as well. Obadiah 1, and I was going to read verse 4, but I don't need to read that. You know what? I could read verse 4. Let me read this. Yeah, let me read verse 3. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Now, back in the ancient world, while they were in Petra, or Mount Seir to be exact, Mount Seir just means hairy, because the mountains from above, if you look at it from the map, pretty much hairy looking. So that's where they originally came from. And the habitation, as is written, whose habitation is high, represents those skyscraper buildings that you will find out in places like New York, just major cities around the world where Esau dwells. You see those skyscrapers, which is indicative of their sense of pride. That saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, because what is it? The eagle is the only bird that flies the highest among many birds. And though thou sent thy nest amongst the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. So the Lord is going to bring this devil down. All right? As I've already explained in my last video. And that's going to go down. And what I want to do is I want to back it up a little bit. And I also want to read something else as well. I want to read verse 7, which is another point, and then I'm gonna get to the article that I have on deck. Yeah, this is how we used to read it years ago. Obadiah 1:7. It says, "All of the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border, and the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee, and they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, and there is none understanding in them." Yeah, because what the Lord is going to do, the Lord is going to divide Edom. The Lord is going to divide that North Atlantic Treaty Organization and break that shit up. And the 10 which will hate the whore will burn her with fire, as that's written in the book of Revelations, the 17th chapter. Right? So what I want to do is I want to read this over here. Right? They that have brought thee even to the border. Let me bring this back and go forward. So this reads, NATO's chief warns Trump not to push Ukraine deal that would see Putin top 5 in Iran. Mark Rutte called on allies to step up military aid to strengthen Kyiv's hand should it enter negotiation with Moscow over an end to the war, as he's warned Russia is not interested in peace. And as well as we know by now, I mean, we know that Ukraine, they're already dead in the water. I mean, there's no military power. Ukraine is basically dead where it concerns fighting Russia. There ain't nobody fighting Russia in Ukraine. But what's really happening in Ukraine, though, is you have the members of NATO and American soldiers that are down there, and they're violating Russia in this case, poking the bear to the point where this Ukraine thing can lead to a full-fledged war between the two nations, Russia and America. All right? And in the midst of that, NATO is going to pretty much go against the grain where it concerns America's interests, and eventually they're going to turn against America. And that's written in the book of Revelations 17 and verse 16. "And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire." And the 10 horns represents the 10 European nations, which was established as the EU back in 1958. But as we take it back 9 years prior, they were established with NATO, which in conjunction, these EU nations would be joined together with America. Again, that was established in 1949, and that was only but established to pose against the rising up of Eastern Europe with Joseph Stalin, which I think Joseph Stalin, he was in power between, I think 1939 to somewhere in the 1950s. All right, but I'm going to have to go back into that history again And one, and Lord willing, one day or so, I'll get into that history once again. And I've done videos on it anyway. So, what I'll do is, Lord willing, I'll put the link in the description box and you can check that out and stuff. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say with this, man. With that, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah Bashem, Barakah Kwadash. And with that, I close. Shalom.